go in on the Suns. I think they're cooked personally. So, but I'm still not sold on Denver. So all of this like, oh, everyone's going crazy over Denver. Like, bro, it was the Timberwolves. And now you're playing like 3 people on the Suns. So I'm not moved. I'm not moved by it.
I want y'all to take a second and look at this chair right here. This same chair, I gave the Nuggets a lot of praise for beating the Timberwolves. That was the last video you saw of me. I have a lot of high hopes for this playoff run so far. If we continue to play the style of basketball, the style of defense that we've been playing through these first 3 games for the rest of the postseason, I like our odds at a finals run. Today, I'm using the same chair to bring you guys the joyful news that the Denver Nuggets have beaten the Phoenix Suns 4-2 in the semifinals and are now back in the Western Conference Finals, baby. We are back. We told y'all. There's a whole list of people that I'm going to shout out, and they are not happy shout outs. We'll get to that in a second, though. The last time the Nuggets were fully healthy, we got to the Western Conference Finals as well. People wrote us off in that time in between that. People said we were frauds. People said our point guard was bubble made. People said Jokic wasn't a playoff riser. People said this. People said that. People said the Nuggets weren't ever going to do anything. People said Jokic was a terrible defender who's going to get exposed by everybody. I want all of you people who said any of the things that I had just mentioned to look yourself in the mirror for a second and think about the shit you've been saying. Because you were so wrong. Now, let's get on to these shout-outs, shall we? Because, ooh-wee, some of y'all were talking some hot shit and couldn't back it up with any basketball reasons because you were nasty and don't know ball. Special shout-outs, first and foremost, to Andrew Leesis. You all know who he is. Probably the worst Suns fan I think I've seen on the website. Kendrick Perkins, thank you very much for helping aid in an MVP race in a very negative way, by the way. So shout out to that. Keyshawn Johnson for just being an idiot when it comes to basketball discourse. NBA Twitter as a whole, because all of you were talking about some bullshit that had nothing to do with basketball. Y'all reasons were buzzwords. Y'all reasons came down to, oh, PNR. Y'all don't even know all the coverages for a PNR. And you're talking about is going to be the thing that's going to kill the Nuggets. Shout out. Shout out to Mark Jones for being a petty anti-Jokic person all season long, even on broadcasts where the Nuggets weren't even playing. You think no one hears you, but we do. Mark Jackson, shout out to you for leaving Jokic off your ballot. Thank you. Shout out Drew Hanlon and Josh Reynolds, because you two are the most dedicated, non-ball knowing Jokic hater / Sixers fans I think I have ever met in my entire life. I haven't met you, nor do I want to. Seeing you on my timeline mention Jokic, mention the Nuggets, and just be flat out wrong about damn near everything you say, honestly brings me a lot of joy. Both of you look stupid. Let's move on. Shout out to Devin Booker for saying that Jokic can score 50 points all he wants. All we care about is the dub. And then he turned around and straight up disappeared in an elimination game. And then he declined media availability afterwards. At home, down 30 at half. Embarrassing. You can score 40 all you want. Y'all couldn't even get it to game 7. And then last but not least, I just want to reiterate this point to all the people who said pickle roll was going to be the thing that wins the Suns this series. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror again. Look at yourself. Say those words back to yourself in the mirror. Watch this series and tell me that you don't sound so stupid right now. I could spend all video talking about how bad the Suns are, narratives regarding KD and Devin Booker, but I'm going to end it off where I did, because I want this video to steer direction into the good things that the Nuggets did, because the point that I want to express to everyone who doubted us and continues to doubt the Nuggets playoff run this season. The Phoenix Suns did not lose this series. The Nuggets won this series handedly, fair and square. I want to get into the meat of this video and start talking about each of the individual Nuggets that played in this series so far, played meaningful minutes in this series, and give them their props. Because I'm fairly certain the discourse surrounding this series on national media is going to turn to Kevin Durant being a failure, Devin Booker not doing enough in an elimination game, the Suns being bad, CP3 was a no-show, DeAndre Ayton is... It's going to be all about the Suns and how they lost the series. It will not be about how the Nuggets won it. So let me do that for y'all. We'll start with our point guard, Jamal Murray, who opened up this series with a statement game in a win, 34 points, 9 assists in a game where Jokic, I believe, had 13. He set the tone for the attitude and the way that we're going to play during this entire series at the start of it. He embraced his true point guard role during this series, really embracing the fact that he has to be the secondary playmaker along with Jokic if our offense is going to be peaking. I want to give a special thanks to his late game shot making, because it is always welcome and always a sight to see when he starts getting going. And I want to shout out that look he gave to Landry Shamet after the and one in game 5. That gave me everything that I needed to for that game. And I definitely used it in some music videos for work. So shout out to Jamal Murray. Moving over to big game 6 KCP. So in a closeout game where we could have stomped on the Suns' necks early, he comes out with 15 first quarter points. He comes out with 20 first half points. He found ways to heavily impact the game in every other area, especially defensively, especially his job on Devin Booker, chasing him around off-ball screens, getting around those screens on ball, and then defending at an elite level when it came to different types of jump shooters. And for KCP to be able to switch off of Devin Booker, it's going to be using a lot of ball screens, going to be using a lot of finesse moves, going to be using a lot of up fakes when he gets down into the paint. You got to be disciplined enough to not fall for the tricks and stay in front of him and slide your feet without getting your hands in there. The great thing about KCP is that when he gets his hands in there and he does that swipe down, it's gonna work. He did it so many times against KD. He did it so many times against KCP, and anyone else who stepped in his zone of control felt his hand on the ball. Along with being a great veteran leader and someone who has notably taken accountability for their mistakes on the court and then given it back tenfold in effort on the other side, KCP has been a very welcomed addition to this team. I enjoy his presence, and we do not win some of these games without him. Two-way Michael Porter Jr. has arrived. He has fully bought into his role, and I cannot express enough in however many different videos at this point how proud I am of this development, this mental mindset development from MPJ, the want to contribute in any other way on the court besides shooting the ball. His help defense, something that I was stressing for so long because he's the perfect player to be our help defender. He showed it. Off-ball contest, great slides, great anticipation, great rotations, great hands on entry passes into the post when he's the only defender. MPJ deserves a ton of credit for how he played. He had a great first round series. Took a little bit step back offensively in the second series, but nonetheless stepped up in every way that we needed him to. He was a big reason why we've been winning some of these games, and he is worth every single dollar. The guy's here, and the guy is good. And I love it. We all do. Now let's move on to who I picked as my non-Jokic MVP for this series. Aaron freaking Gordon. It cannot be stated enough how important Aaron Gordon's role was to the Nuggets in this series. Aaron Gordon had the task of having to guard Kevin Durant. A lot of the times it was one-on-one, or ended up being one-on-one. And he stepped up to the challenge better than 98% of individual defenders against Kevin Durant. And I am not exaggerating. Go watch the game film of possessions he's guarded by AG. The physicality that Aaron Gordon plays with got underneath Kevin Durant's skin. Impacted the game of one of the smoothest operators we've ever seen in the league. He made Kevin Durant so uncomfortable that gimmies started not falling. I know Aaron Gordon's getting his praise, but the ability to keep Kevin Durant from having a KD game for 6 straight games needs to be overstated. It needs to be stated so much that we get tired of hearing the point. It started with AG, and I am giving all of my kudos to that man. We needed his ability to play Kevin Durant straight up. We needed his ability to switch on to Devin Booker and play him straight up. We needed his defensive IQ on rotations on the back line when Jokic is playing the PNRs at the level. We need Aaron Gordon. We needed him so bad this series. The man a lot of people call the playoff dropper. The man a lot of people call the cone. To those specific people, shut the hell up. You're done because you had a bias against Nikola Jokic because some of your favorite media members told you to. Some of your favorite non-Nuggets NBA Twitter accounts told you that Jokic was a cone, told you that Jokic was going to lose to the PNR, told you that Jokic can't play at the level on the PNR, told you that Book and CP are going to abuse Jokic. Nikola Jokic just had his best 6-game stretch of defense he has ever played in his career, by far. Y'all are going to stick to the buzzwords, y'all are going to stick to the flimsy narratives, but there is quite literally nothing left to say about Nikola Jokic. Because when it matters, when he's going up against two very elite scorers in this league, two players who averaged 30, when it's time for him to step up in his defensive role, what the hell just happened? He stepped up in his defensive role. Y'all don't know basketball. Y'all don't watch, y'all don't talk it, y'all don't learn it, y'all don't know it. Y'all said DeAndre Ayton was the Jokic stopper. Y'all said Ayton plays defense on Jokic better than damn near everybody else. Nikola Jokic just averaged a triple-double stat line. Yeah, hooroo, right? Jokic, of course he's going to average a triple-double stat line. He did something that hadn't been done in 60 goddamn years. The narratives about this man, the best in the world claims, have gotten so much stronger because if you're actually watching the Nuggets basketball games with intent, without bias in your heart, positive or negative bias, you understand that Jokic is probably the best player in the world now. 32, 10, 12, 3, and 1 in an elimination game. 29, 13, 12, 1, and 2 in Game 5, a pivotal Game 5 with the series tied. 53 and 11 in Game 4. 30, 17, and 17 in Game 3. What are we talking about at this point? Obviously, debate will happen. Arguments, conversations will continue to happen. I think it took a first-round exit from Mr. Dad Jokes over in the Eastern Conference for y'all to finally realize that. I'm glad Jokic shut y'all all up talking about the Nuggets won't get back to the Western Conference Finals, talking about the Nuggets are perennial second-round exit. Shh. We ain't gotta hear that shit no more. You talking out your ass now. Jokic can't play deep. All these claims about Jokic, they're done. Bruce Brown, our 6th starter, the 25-point game in Game 5, a game that we needed. His help defense blocks on several mid-range shooters, his aggressive dog-like mentality against Kevin Durant, the personal matchup he took against that, or on that matchup, we needed that. We needed his 3-point shooting. We needed his pseudo point guard play. We needed his verticality in transition. We needed all of that. Y'all don't need to hear me say, again, how much of a talking point the bench play was during this season. It's a talking point literally everyone has covered at this point. After the April 6th game against the Suns, in which Bruce Brown dropped 31, I said if Bruce Brown plays like this off our bench, we're champions. Bruce Brown has been playing, obviously not to a 31-point standard, but as far as impact goes, it's been very, very high. He's an important piece to our championship hopes. And I hope everyone else understands that now too. And another important part of our bench and overall championship odds, our rookie Christian Brown. I had zero offensive expectations for Christian Brown coming into this series. Much like the rest of the season, the offensive side of the ball for a rookie is a lot harder to develop, I think, than the defensive side of the ball. Because defense is a lot more about instinct and positioning and IQ than it is skill. And even in that point, I underestimated what Christian Brown's defensive impact would be in this series. And I'm damn near the biggest Christian Brown fan you'll find. He played hard-nosed, physical defense against two of the best one-on-one scorers in the league as a rookie. His 6'6" frame, his strength, his sturdiness, his balance, his smarts, the ability for him to read how a defender is going to, or how an opposing player is going to get their setup started, how they're going to try to isolate Christian Brown, how they're going to try to beat him off the dribble. He's a very high IQ defender in the help, on ball, in screening actions. As the help side defender, he's got it. Christian Brown needs to get his props. Bruce Brown, CB, and KCP, and AG, you three are our defensive core, and you showed us why. And then we'll round it all out with Uncle Jeff Green. Had a pretty abysmal series, but there were times during that where he was playing some pretty good defense, some pretty good help defense that led to some transition buckets that really did help us. Transition was a large part of why we won this series, and it was a large part of our bounce back in Game 5. Jeff Green can run a floor. Jeff Green knows how to make a connecting pass. Those are the things I'll give praise for Jeff Green. I hope you understand why we won this series. And I hope you guys give proper credit to the Denver Nuggets for how they played, because there's a lot of credit to go around. If you are a basketball mind or a basketball analyst, you will see that this Nuggets team is very, very dangerous in so many different ways. That'll be all for me today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm the Drop Step, Sean. See y'all later, man. Let's go, Nuggets!
Yeah. Winners work, baby. Winners work, baby. That's what you gotta do, man.